Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Fallout Season 2 Episode 5 video. There are a whole bunch of WTF moments, Easter eggs for the games, so we'll break it all down. We're finally starting to see more Mr. House lore, them connecting the flashbacks in New Vegas with present day and all the other factions, so there's a lot to unpack. The episode title was The Wrangler, a reference to both Mr. House being a Deathclaw Wrangler because he's allowed a nest of them to set up shop around the strip to act as his new personal protectors and deterrent to anyone trying to get into the Lucky 38 casino, but it's also meant to be a reference to Cooper at the end of the episode when he's riding on the bomb, Dr. Strangelove style. Probably the biggest question this episode addresses is who dropped the bombs? Who is responsible ultimately for pressing the button and starting the Great War? There are a lot of moments where they're actually winking from behind the camera, addressing fan theories because they don't absolutely confirm who it was, but they do offer a lot more clues in who did not wind up dropping the bombs, particularly Mr. House, who flat out says, it's not going to be me, and it's not going to be any of those idiots in that boardroom that you were also listening to, also confirming that he knows everything that Cooper has been doing this whole time, trying to listen in on Vault-Tec's plans. Basically, the episode was Mr. House trying to explain to Cooper why he is one of the good guys. Mr. House is one of the good guys who's trying to save humanity, particularly New Vegas. Like, he wants to protect New Vegas, but also he is not going to be the one to try and end humanity with the bombs. The opening scene starts immediately after Episode 4 with them being attacked by the Deathclaws. Notice Lucy's Pip-Boy radiation detector still going off because of all the Deathclaw eggs. Also, we see there's an entire nest of Deathclaws. Like I said, it's probably Mr. House who allowed them inside the barrier because that'd probably be the only reason why they would set up shop right around the Lucky 38 casino if Mr. House wanted them to do that. When the Ghoul asks Lucy for a rocket launcher, that is a weapon in the game, and yes, a rocket launcher would help against the Deathclaw. The custom intro title this time is designed to look like a Vegas slot machine paying out. It sounds the jackpot award, the lights start going off. Nice wink at the Ghoul and Lucy winning the jackpot here, ironically, because of the nest of Deathclaws. Also them basically reaching Mr. House and her father, like all the gambling that goes on during the flashbacks. They wind up running to Freeside. We see the King's sign, RIP to all the Kings from last week's episode. Lucy killed most of them, and they'd seemingly all turned into ghouls since the events of the Fallout New Vegas game. The camera pans out of the entrance of the strip as they enter Freeside like the Ghoul said he wanted to do last week because it was the smarter move. He had been worried about what might be inside the actual strip. He didn't know about the Deathclaws. He just knew something bad was there they wanted to stay away from, and he was correct, 100%. Blame it all on Lucy being on drugs. Freeside is an area from the games that had been abandoned by Mr. House after the Great War, and it basically turned into a slum-like area like we see during the episode. The wall here that represents the entrance to the strip is also something that Mr. House erected to keep out anyone that he deemed unworthy of being in his proper part of New Vegas. While they start talking about the Deathclaws, you can still hear them patrolling around the other side of the entrance to the strip. When the Ghoul says that they haven't always been here, he's remembering encountering them when he was in the military, the demon in the snow, which Mr. House also lets him know that he was also watching the whole time too. But the way they talk about them, the way that Cooper talks about them, and the way that Mr. House talks about them in the flashbacks, they don't know completely who created them, even though technically it's meant to be the US military. There are a lot of references to the Enclave, or who I think they're talking about the Enclave, when Mr. House talks about a mystery secret player pulling all the strings that he's not totally sure about yet. This will also connect with the Norm storyline in the Force Evolutionary Virus that he winds up learning about, confirming all of our theories from the previous episode when they mentioned the FEV company, which we thought might be a fake company because it also stands for Force Evolutionary Virus. This episode just confirmed those theories.
Forced Evolutionary Virus.
So it does seem like the episode is setting up more Enclave. But the whole reason why there are Deathclaws in this part of the wasteland, just in general anyway, is because after the Great War, all the military's experiments, and probably Enclave's experiments too, started reproducing at an uncontrollable rate. They lost control, and then they became apex predators roaming the wasteland. Now you kind of wonder if Mr. House has tried to put the mind control chips on the Deathclaws at any point. Did it work, and do we get a shot of the back of their necks at some point in the next few episodes to see? That would probably be one of Hank's next moves. If he can get it to work on people, let's try it on Deathclaws next. Cooper confirms that he believes that his wife and his daughter are in this special vault for management only, which Hank then later confirms, and we also see in the episode, we see visual confirmation that they have cryotubes. We don't see bodies in those tubes, more on that in a second, so it is not 100% confirmed that his wife and daughter are here, only that they have cryotubes that are here. But we also learned that Cooper has gone to all the other company vaults that he's found across the wasteland in different states, many of them across the wasteland, and all of them have been empty so far. But up until the season 1 finale, he didn't know that there was a secret company vault below New Vegas, which I think is because they don't want to trample on video game canon too much to say that there was a secret vault here, but nobody learned about it, which is why it's never mentioned during the Fallout New Vegas video game. We also did see when Hank went into the secret company vault, it was also pretty much empty aside from some of the test subjects and maybe Cooper's wife and daughter. But like I said, that could be a red herring and those tubes could be empty, like there could be nobody in those cryotubes. If they really wanted to confirm that his wife and daughter were there, you would have seen their faces inside the tubes, but you just see like the blue light. And you don't even see that part of his daughter's cryotube. As they walk through Freeside, all these businesses here, all these areas are also from the game. A Dictol that Cooper has Lucy take, also from the game. It's also an inhaler, and it is exactly what it sounds like, an anti-addiction medication. When the Ghoul walks into the bar to get the drink, the poster for Joey Baxter was a pre-war musician in Las Vegas, as was Maxis, he was a magician. Maybe we'll see them in the flashbacks. Pretty much all the posters that you see all over the place are all from before the war. When the bartender mentions the Deathclaws came from Quarry Junction, that's also an area from the games that the NCR controlled and used in their war against the Legion for mining operations. During the events of the games, though, the dynamite that they used to mine the area gets stolen. Deathclaws view that as the all clear to move in and take control of the area, so the idea is that since the events of the games, they've come to New Vegas and they made it through the fence, probably like I said, because Mr. House wanted them inside the fence. Bartender gets real chatty too during this part of the episode with Cooper. He mentions the NCR's war with the Legion, just to remind you that the Legion is still out there, the NCR is still out there. They will come back into the story before the end of the season. When he jokes about robots, those are also the Securitrons. Also love that he jokes that he's cool with the Deathclaws because they don't charge him taxes. Basically saying the Deathclaws are better than the government. Then they use Cooper seeing his reflection in the mirror to set up another pre-war flashback, and it starts with a newsreel, which is basically like a propaganda piece for Vault-Tec and the other companies having their big conference in Las Vegas, deciding the future of the world, basically. Notice it's just Big MT, Robco, Vault-Tec, and West-Tec that are part of the board, all the people that we saw in the clandestine meetings during Season 1 and some of the Season 2 flashbacks. But not the mystery FEV company that the Vault-Tec employees were talking about for Phase 2, which I think points to Enclave. You also notice that it's still referred to as Las Vegas, not New Vegas, because the bombs have not dropped yet. We get a lot more of this fake Mr. House, touting him as the face of the company to set up the big reveal of the real Mr. House, Justin Theroux, confirming a lot of theories from earlier this season. I know this is going to raise a lot of questions too about the endings for the Fallout New Vegas video game because there are a couple different alternate endings and in those involve the fate of Mr. House. Like, who is the body that you see at the end of the game? Is that the real Mr. House or is that the fake Mr. House's body? We will get to that.
What if I'm not the house? What if someone else is?
When he says the house always wins, that's the title of one of the alternate endings for the Fallout New Vegas game, and something that he says, the slogan in the game that said all the time, and he says in this episode a couple different times. Then we see young Hank acting as his wife's assistant. That was his original job pre-war. They're on their way to Vegas to meet with Mr. House. Then they use Hank's briefcase that he has handcuffed to himself as a bit of a red herring because Cooper thinks that it's the cold fusion, but it's actually supposed to be the mind control chip, or like the early version that Mr. House, in possibly the Enclave, maybe somebody else, has been working on. They spent so much time in this episode trying to set up this mystery villain pulling the strings who is not Mr. House, not part of Robco, and I think they're pointing towards Enclave, so I wouldn't be surprised that the Enclave also has something to do with the mind control chip as well. When he says he's a possible assassination target now, it's a nod at Cooper's secret mission that he's supposed to kill Mr. House. Talks to Moldaver, who's also there at the airport with him, but confirms that on the show it's the cold fusion that Mr. House wanted and the Vault-Tec was bringing to him, and in the video games it was meant to be the platinum chip, so that is a change from the games. Recently, we just saw Maximus steal the cold fusion from the Brotherhood and he's on the run. I would not be surprised if he eventually finds his way to New Vegas and has a reunion with Lucy, but that also basically gives Mr. House what he wanted to have in the first place, the cold fusion. Like, that was the whole idea. He wanted it, and now Maximus has it, and they want to bring all the characters together again at some point. So you can kind of see the trajectory of that headed towards the end of the season. During the episode, Mr. House even talks at length about what he's going to do with the cold fusion tech. Cooper then claims he won't kill Mr. House, which obviously we see he does not try to do that because Mr. House talks him out of it basically. He's the good guy, you should be working with him. But he will try to steal the cold fusion, so we will see what happens with that subplot. We know that for some reason Mr. House does not wind up getting cold fusion in the past. When we go to the Lucky 38 casino, we see the Securitrons working. They're basically Mr. House's muscle. They're all over the video games. Notice they also drive right past the Gamorra where they were just attacked by the Deathclaw in present day. We actually spent some time inside there during the end credit scene. This woman we see being escorted out with the California flag is Congresswoman Welch, the same politician who was just speaking at Cooper's veteran ceremony. They recognize each other instantly. Cooper then tries to follow Hank, thinking that he has the cold fusion in his briefcase, not realizing that it's the mind control chip, and is cut off by the fake Mr. House who enters the party to grab him because the real Mr. House wants to talk to him about this plan to drop the bombs and why they should be working together. They go to the top of the Lucky 38 casino, which is where Mr. House's personal space is in the games, and it looks just like it does in the games. He meets Victor, the Securitron robot, who we just saw in present day, who is also in the games. Cooper then immediately realizes that he's the guy that he just met in the toilet, kind of awkward, but he already knows Cooper's there to kill him because Mr. House's whole thing is that he's 5 steps ahead of everyone. They also kind of let you know the way that he learns all these things is because he can tap into all the technology, like he tapped into Cooper's T-45 suit up in Alaska. Like, oh, I saw what you saw, because he was literally hacked into the feed from the suit. So I think the idea is that Mr. House just does this all over the world all the time, and that's how he stays 1 step ahead of everyone. He literally just listens in, spies on people all over the world. But as he also says, he also uses predictive algorithms, math basically, to predict the future or different outcomes with certain levels of certainty. Makes a couple jokes about Thomas Edison liking fiction. During the Fallout New Vegas video game, Mr. House references Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla when he's talking to the player character. He also says the reason why he's interested in Cooper is because Cooper is like the nexus of all the things that are going to be happening leading to the Great War because of his connection with his wife. And his wife is the one who's really connected to all this.
Initiated by my wife.
Unclear.
You also learn that Mr. House doesn't trust the government, the military, all their experiments, doesn't trust any of the other companies, doesn't trust anyone, which is very on brand for Mr. House. We also learn the fake Mr. House has just been pretending to be the face of the company for about the past 10 years. Then he tells Cooper that he did mess with the T-45 armor to see the Deathclaws, but because Mr. House says that he doesn't know everything that's going on with the Deathclaws, I think the idea is the show is trying to connect the US military experimenting with Deathclaws and the Enclave experimenting with Deathclaws, because Mr. House, as he explains, doesn't mention the words Enclave, he just mentions mystery organization that they then connect to the FEV, the Forced Evolutionary Virus, at the end of the episode. They're meant to be the mysterious investors that the Vault-Tec employees were trying to contact at the end of the company. Mr. House also says the name of episode 4 in the episode. He said the name of the thing inside the thing, Demon in the Snow. He also reveals his plans for the cold fusion device. Once he gets it, he says it will give him functional immortality through roboticized non-biological form, which is also right out of the games. In the games, he uploads his consciousness into his computers, which we'll probably see a version of on the show. But he also says his only other real major concern is protecting Las Vegas from the coming Great War and the bombs, which we know he actually did a version of because it's why the city was so well preserved compared to other cities, because his bombs underneath the city, which we saw in previous post-credit scenes, were able to destroy some of the bombs that were headed for this area. Then the show really starts going full Reddit, digging in on the theories about who actually dropped the bombs. So this is a big thing in the games. The games have never absolutely 100% confirmed who dropped the bombs, but there have been a lot of very strong theories over the years. When Mr. House says that it's unclear if it's going to be Cooper's wife who does it, I think this is also meant to set up a red herring because of what he says later about the dates changing in when the bombs actually dropped because of what happens tonight in New Vegas. I think it's just the show wanting you to believe that it's going to be his wife, but based on their conversation, what happens later in the episode, I don't think it'll ultimately wind up being his wife. He also confirms that it will not be him, Mr. House, to drop the bombs, which is also canon to the games. They also imply in the games that he was not the person to drop the bombs. And it's not going to be any of the actual Vault-Tec employees that were in the actual board meeting where they discussed dropping the bombs. Like, he calls them all idiots. Like, don't worry about them, they're not going to do anything. The person who Mr. House is really worried about and concerned about right now is this mystery player, which I think is meant to be the Enclave. He also reveals that he currently thinks the bombs will go off April 14th, 2065 at 5:17 a.m., which is the day of Cooper's daughter's birthday, which we actually see happening later when the bombs are actually going off. Like, you actually see the bombs going off as he's with his daughter. So I think the idea is they want to confirm that Cooper himself is not ultimately the one that pressed the bomb. That would be a huge twist if he ultimately is the one that winds up pressing the button, but the fact that he was there with his daughter when the bombs are going off, I think means that he did not do it. So I think the idea is the show really wants you to think that the Enclave might actually have been the ones to press the button and orchestrating all this, orchestrating the Great War in general. We get a couple other really big video game Easter eggs. He puts on the headset that we see him wearing in the game in his cryo chamber, or the fake Mr. House was wearing in the game, depending on how you think about it. He also wonders if he's not the house in this situation because the house always wins. Like, who is the house? If it's the house that always wins, that would probably be the Enclave that he's talking about here, maybe. He mentions his missile system to defend New Vegas, which we saw in the post-credit scenes of previous episodes and are canon to the games. They're the reason, like I said, most of New Vegas wasn't blown up by the bombs, because his missiles were able to counteract some of them.
And I'm building a missile system to defend this glorious city from what's coming. But from whom, Mr. Howard?
You can let me know if you think that the show is trying to set up the Enclave here. We got a little bit of Enclave during season 1. It just seems like the show is trying to create more for their backstory, like more of their subplot heading into future seasons. Like, this is just meant to be the beginning of Enclave stuff because they just started teasing the Force evolutionary virus so much. And if you don't think that the Enclave are the ones that actually drop the bombs or like press the button to actually drop the bombs, like physically drop the bombs, then who do you think it was? But we go back to present day to the snake oil salesman, and they mostly use this subplot for some comedy with a couple WTF twists at the end. He goes on his way to New Vegas, passes a Deathclaw skull, gets attacked by a rad roach, the Lucky 38 billboard behind him. You can see the skyline. It's the tallest tower. It's very identifiable from the distance. We get another big video game Easter egg with Fisto. We find out that he had a previous relationship with Fisto from the games. Fisto stands for Fully Integrated Security Technotronic Officer. In the games, there's a bit of a joke here, it can also be programmed as a robotic prostitute. That might be the pull that they're going for here because he makes it sound like he had a relationship, quote-unquote, with the robot. Building on the joke that he tries to screw chickens at the same time too, like chickens and robots are his thing, that's his kink. We get the WTF reveal that Hank is going to use him for his mind control chip testing. We get that small partial confirmation that Cooper's wife has a cryopod and his daughter inside the facility, but we don't actually see their faces inside the tubes, so it's not 100% confirmed that they are here in this place. I think that's also meant to be a red herring too. Early theory is that Hank lied to the Ghoul about his family actually being here in order to get Lucy. And probably one of the other biggest reveals of the episode is that Hank has finally found out how to get the mind control chip to work on the snake oil salesman. It doesn't kill him, but it does wipe all your memories and you retain all your basic skills and body functions, turning you into a glorified hand puppet. So the snake oil salesman is about to become a perfect model Vault-Tec employee. Which is probably why they transition immediately to Norm's group of actual Vault-Tec employees returning to their headquarters in the Wasteland, which we visited in the flashbacks in season 1. They recognize the receptionist Janice from before the war. The creatures on the other side of the barricade making all that noise wind up being a rad roach farm, which is actually a solid business plan. I love the metaphor they're going for. The whole joke here that they're going for is that Ma June and her partner here have basically moved in as another company taking over this Vault-Tec company with a smarter business plan because they live in the Wasteland, so selling the parts, the bits from the rad roaches actually is more lucrative than what Vault-Tec would be doing. So an even better company has moved in, which is why her partner kind of lords over the Vault-Tec employees like, I'm the boss now. Don't mess with our stuff here. She mentions more Vault Dwellers because she remembers Lucy from season 1. She catches Norm up on what's changed in the Wasteland because this is Norm's first time in the Wasteland. He doesn't believe that Lucy is dead, which is also a good call. Like, of course she's not dead. We just saw her. Norm also makes it pretty clear that he has no plans to go back to the vault. Also, Lucy does not want to go back to the vault. We go back to Freeside, and Lucy doesn't have enough bottle caps to pay for the Addictol, so she tries to steal it, and it winds up turning into a WTF comedic moment with her versus another thief who is trying to rob the store blind and kill the original proprietor, with them just going back and forth, trying to not reveal who they really are. She also takes a 5-finger discount on the Power Fist, which is also from the games, setting up the twist at the end where she punches the Ghoul out the window. Then Lucy killing the other thief is also meant to be another example of how she's gotten more morally gray since episode 1. Like, she wouldn't have stolen anything back then, and she didn't want to kill anyone, which is what the Ghoul was making fun of her for at episode 1 of season 2. Like, why you keep shooting people in the knees? The whole idea through this season is that Lucy is meant to slowly become more morally gray. We go back to Norm's group, and he's comforting Claudia. They go into Cooper's wife's office. She sees the picture of his daughter. We learn the investors are Future Enterprise Ventures, which is FEV, as in Force Evolutionary Virus, which Norm gets confirmation of on Cooper's wife's computer. Like, they're confirming all of our theories here about Force Evolutionary Virus, which points back to Enclave, which is why I think they're also meant to be the mystery group that Mr. House is really worried about.
Another player at the table. The same unknown entity responsible for your demon in the snow.
Claudia then reveals that she figured out that Norm isn't one of them a long time ago just because he is not crazy, but Ronnie overhears this, tries to kill him, but Norm will probably be fine though because Claudia will be back soon, so I would not be surprised if Claudia helps save Norm's life because she seems like she is full team Norm now. Then we get the WTF reveal with Cooper in the hotel room apologizing to Lucy because of the deal that he made with Hank and the snake oil salesman to turn her over because he thinks that Hank has his wife and daughter. This winds up going spectacularly off the rails, but Hank's original plan here was to have the Ghoul force Lucy to go back to Vault 33 until he was quote-unquote finished with a couple projects, which is the mind control chip. Like, he plans to eventually take over the wasteland with the mind control chip, and also the mystery person that he was talking to on the radio in the first couple of episodes. The early theory is that it might be Mr. House that he was talking to on the other end of the radio because we saw Mr. House messing with the mind control chip, but it could also now be the Enclave that Hank was really talking to. I would not be surprised if the Enclave Future Enterprises Ventures, like the fake name, were the people, the investors that were also connected to the mind control chip. When the Ghoul tells Lucy, when you wake up, you'll be home, becomes ironic because Lucy then recovers and punches him out the window with the power fist, impaling him on the pole. Do not worry, he will be fine, he's a Ghoul, it's not going to kill him. But also juxtaposing that with him waking up in the flashbacks after going on a bender in the casino by his wife, making him feel like he is home. Also love the imagery here of him riding the bomb. That's a reference to both the bombs dropping in the Great War, but also Dr. Strangelove. You can kind of tell that Dr. Strangelove inspired some of the vibes behind some of the other moments on the show too, like the whole entire board meeting where they're talking about the bombs and ending the entire world. But at least for right now, it seems like Lucy hates the Ghoul, but they'll probably help each other out again soon. I would not be surprised if the Ghoul winds up making his way back into the company vault and saving Lucy again, the same way that he did when they parted ways earlier in the season, like another version of what happened with the Legion earlier this season. She passes out, and we also learned that Hank was there in the hotel listening in the whole time, calling her sugar bombs, and then takes her presumably to the company vault, where she'll wake up in episode 6. When Cooper wakes up in the flashbacks with his wife in their hotel room and says, "We need to talk," it's him confronting her with the truth about everything, which they'll discuss in episode 6, which is also probably why the date that the bombs dropped moved to a month sooner than they were supposed to originally. Remember, Mr. House said that was a big deal. Right before Cooper decided to come to Vegas on this secret mission, the bombs were going to drop a month later, but they moved to a different date after he decided to come. So presumably, the reason why the date changed is because of the conversation that he has with his wife in this hotel room in episode 6, making you wonder what winds up happening, or if it's not his wife who drops the bombs, if somebody is listening in on what his wife is doing and then uses that to do it sooner. Like I said, based on everything that Mr. House said, I think his wife being the one to drop the bombs is just meant to be a red herring and it'll wind up being someone else. Post all your theories in the comments below. During the end credits this time, they show scenes from inside the Gamorra and then pan out like they slowly pull through the casino to the exterior and show you the Lucky 38 casino. Basically the same area where we saw in the flashbacks and them encountering the Deathclaws in present day. Also meant to be the area the Cooper is going to have to go back to if he's going to save Lucy. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references from the games that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. My full episode 6 video will post next week after they release it. The other real big reminder is that Game of Thrones Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes are starting this week too. Episode 1 will start on Sunday. My video for that will post after they release it. I've already done a number of trailer videos for it, so I'll link those below in the description. Everybody click here for my Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode 1 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for all my other Fallout episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.